Welcome back to North Node Astrology. This is Dan. I know I've been gone for a while. I've had a lot of stuff going on, and I've been learning a lot. And sometimes it takes a while to get that stuff processed. But while all this madness was happening, I came across something that I feel like really needs to be talked about. It is energy rulerships. Here is the house rulerships, or excuse me, the sign rulerships. You got, Aries all the way through Pisces, and I've got the planets that also rule those signs. And some people can even say that these planets rule the houses, but planets rule signs, right? So, Mars rules Aries, Venus rules Taurus, and as well as Libra, and Mercury rules Gemini and Virgo. The moon rules Cancer. Leo rules the sun, or the sun rules Leo, excuse me. Then we skip to Pluto ruling Scorpio, and Mars is there in a lesser extent, but Scorpio is more Pluto. Jupiter rules Sagittarius, Saturn Capricorn, and then Saturn Uranus together rule Aquarius, and then Neptune is the larger ruler of Pisces, and Jupiter is there in a lesser extent, right? The reason I'm going into that is because these are all important aspects of our lives, and everything that happens to us and in our heads or whatever, in our hearts, all starts in one of these areas. And depending on what the transits are, and depending on where all the planets are, can give flavor to various portions of our life. Say that you are a Gemini rising. You might be a Virgo sun, so your sun is in Virgo, but your Mercury is in Leo, right? So you are going to lead in life very much, in a communicative way, but you are going to be identifying yourself with things of the home, right? Just trust me on that. And I know there's I know there's a lot going on there, but Mercury always rules Gemini. So why are we talking about this? Well, on January 20th, we are about to have a very large shift. The sun comes into conjunction with Pluto before it goes into Aquarius. Then the sun enters Aquarius, and then Pluto enters Aquarius shortly thereafter. Since November, but I'm actually going to start at the end of December here, and give you a bit of a rundown of how things have moved through and why things have felt the way they did. So this is basically the energy rulership chart of, let's say, New Year's Eve, right? Now, Jupiter stopped his retrograde on the 30th, but this is the last time that December 29th at 3:23 in the afternoon, this is the East Coast US, that Venus was in Scorpio. Now, Venus rules Taurus, so if you have any planets in Taurus, you might have been feeling kind of spicy about stuff, right? With Venus being there, or even your relationships, like even whether you're a Libra or not, you have any Libra placements, you might have been feeling a little spicy about your relationships. And by spicy, I mean like you might have, wanted to fight, right? Or not fight. Maybe you wanted to run away. Maybe you were voracious. Maybe you wanted some kind of, something to make you feel good. You wanted something probably physical to make you feel good, right? And a lot of us probably ate too much candy, ate too much food over the holidays. And that might have been, or especially after Christmas, that might have been part of the issue of that, right? So Venus in Scorpio being ruled by Pluto that is in Capricorn, and Pluto's there in the orange square, right? And Capricorn ruled by Saturn that's in Pisces, and it's circled in green, which is in turn ruled by Neptune, and Neptune is in Pisces. So Venus in Scorpio is ultimately ruled by Neptune in Pisces, right? And now, mind you, the Scorpio is ruled by Pluto. So that was a little bit of a back and forth there, just a bit, but not much, because it's in a sign that's ruled by Saturn. So The next energy shift was 1 minute later when Venus moved into Sagittarius. Given that Jupiter is the ruler of Sagittarius and he was still retrograde, we were wanting to feel better about how things were kind of unraveling still, right? Like our beliefs about what value was had taken its toll. It had taken its toll on us, and we were done transforming. Something had already happened, right? We had some kind of event, or we knew things were coming to a head, as they say. Things were about to shift, and they had. And now we needed to change what we believed about it. And there's still some work that needed to be done there because Jupiter wasn't quite done with his retrograde. And at the time, Mercury and Mars were still in Sagittarius, right? Mercury's still retrograde, so talking about it was difficult, but now we were feeling differently about it in Venus, right? With Venus being there. Now, Mars was already trying to take action, but now you also have Venus and Mars in the same sign. But Venus is the ruler of Taurus, which is where Jupiter is, and Jupiter ruling Sagittarius. So those two were kind of pointing back and forth at each other. So it was much lighter than just the minute before when Venus was in Scorpio. So now we've eliminated Pluto and Saturn and Neptune, right? The only two planets that we're dealing with this Venus shift is Jupiter and Venus itself. That's it, right? And, so probably on the afternoon of the 29th, a lot of people probably had some kind of, realization about something or something may have broken through. And I don't quite remember what the news cycle was that afternoon, but wherever that is in your chart, whether you have anything, whether any of these planets is making any kind of conjunction anywhere, let's say you're a Sagittarius rising, right? I am. Venus moving into Sag shifted some big things. Or, let's say you are a, Virgo rising, right? Venus moving into Sagittarius gave you a different feeling about your home or possibly family, right? If you're Leo, it was more about your life. Like, okay, you've had a new life experience now. Like, oh, okay, I'm smarter now. I feel like I'm more wise, or I want to be more wise. And with Jupiter retrograde, you're like, I still need to do some work here. There's still work that needs to be done. I still need to pull this apart a little bit more. And Mercury's retrograde was helping us deconstruct that a little bit, at least until the next energy shift. I do realize that on the 29th, the moon was in Leo, and by the time we get to the next big energy shift, that Mars moves into Capricorn. But for now, I'm just kind of skipping forward. In the future, I'm going to be going into these energy events. Like anytime any of the planets moves into a new sign, I'm probably going to be doing this. But for now, I'm just kind of skipping over the moon. I will come back to it at the end, leading into this Sun and Pluto ingress into Aquarius. But for now, I'm just skipping ahead to some of the big ones that have led us up to today. And I'm recording this on the afternoon of the 17th. So Mars moved into Capricorn at 9:59 a.m. on January 4th. And Capricorn being ruled by Saturn. Saturn's in Pisces. Pisces ruled by Neptune. Neptune's in Pisces, right? So Aries is, the sign that's ruled by Mars. When I put that chart up earlier. And so now when Mars was in Sagittarius, we were seeking, right? We were on a journey, right? But now that once Mars entered Capricorn, now we have a plan. We were a little bit wandering, right? We were probably seeking wisdom or looking for something. And by the 4th of January, we've realized either A, we have it, or B, we don't, but we have a plan on how to get it, right? And Saturn here in Pisces is making us go on these spirit quests. He is the ruler of the 10th house. He's the ruler of Capricorn. And he is making us go on a spirit quest, and he's making us let go of past patterns that don't work. If they don't work and they're not valuable, he's making us let them go, right? Now you have Mars that was in Sag, and he was a little aggro. You know, when Venus was back in Scorpio, things were pretty spicy. And then when Venus moved in, and because Venus rules Taurus, like at the beginning, right? Then when Venus moved into Sagittarius, it calmed it down. All right, calmed him down a little bit more. Now that Mars has moved into Capricorn, he's even more solid. He's like, okay, we have a plan, or we need a plan. I wasn't even thinking about a plan before. You know, maybe I was conceptualizing a plan, but now I've realized we need a plan. What's the plan? And you might not even be able to plan 3 or 4 steps ahead, but you can plan at least one. So only, you know, that had us only worrying about 1 step ahead at the time. I know I've skipped forward here from the 4th to the 15th, but I'm trying to get us all geared up here so that we can talk about the shift of Sun and Pluto. And even on the 15th, they were at 25 degrees, so they're coming closer. You know that your life is going to change, but you're not exactly sure how. But now you know that you have to make some emotional changes, right? You have to make plans. You have to make emotional plans, which is kind of dangerous, making emotional plans. But Mercury is also in Capricorn, so we can communicate about it. We can talk about it. But, you know, how we feel about things has changed. Now, when the moon was in Pisces just before that, you know, that morning of the 15th, we were letting things go. It was in the realm of Neptune. And then the moon shifted that morning. I bet that afternoon was pretty different. You know, I actually felt that. So things kind of clicked with Mars being in Capricorn and then the moon moving into that sign of Aries ruled by that Mars in Cap. So there's still a dissolvingness. I think that was the softest moon in Aries I felt in a long time. You know, because it all depends on where Mars is. Any time the moon is anything that's in Aries depends on where Mars is. And when Mars is in Capricorn, it goes to Saturn. And when Saturn's in Pisces, it goes to Neptune, right? We already went through all of that. And I've got that stuff blanked out here. I've just got Mars and the moon circled for clarity. And this is going to hold until the 18th. Right? Everything is going to stay in this energy until the 18th. So here we are on the 18th, and this is early in the morning. So overnight, things are going to shift. And I suspect you're going to be feeling that, you know, that moon at the end of Aries, you know, as we go to bed. Might have some trouble sleeping tomorrow night. Again, like I said, I'm recording this the afternoon of the 17th. But when that moon moves into Taurus, like by the time you get up in the morning, with Venus in Sagittarius, we're going to feel that moon be more anchored in Taurus than it has been the last time it was around. And that was when Venus was back in Scorpio. So the moon in Taurus last time felt a little spicier than it's going to feel on the 18th. And that's going to be through the 20th when the Sun and Pluto move into Aquarius almost together. So we might feel more anchored, and we might want to feel more anchored. That's the other part of this. Anywhere these planets are moving is going to highlight stuff in your chart, even if it's not making any aspects. Also, the reason that I have picked using a 0 degrees Aquarius chart and all of the houses are 30 degrees, I call that whole sign, is this is the chart for humanity, right? This is the chart for the collective humanity. And I know some astrologers use Aries, which is that's not a bad chart to use for it, because then it puts everything in its natural place, right? Puts, you know, Mars is the ruler of the first house and Taurus in second, right? But if you really want to understand astrology, doing different whole sign charts, doing different projections of the chart is always an awesome way. I don't know if you guys have ever seen some of the charts that I've done for the full moon, whatever. I've put them, you know, centered on where that moon was. Like if it was a full moon in Leo, I've centered the moon on Leo. Or if the sun was in Scorpio, I centered it on a 0 Scorpio chart, so that the sun and the moon, like a new moon in Scorpio, would have been that. And then you could have seen that Cancer for Scorpio is about wisdom. It's about learning how to take care of things. It's caretaking. But for Aquarius, Cancer is work. Work can be emotional for Aquarians, and they don't like that. Or they have to do emotional work every day to try to connect with family, to try to create a family, try to make one, right? You're working on the family every day. And, that might, and all of us might feel like we are doing that more so now with Saturn in Pisces. It's very much giving the feel that Capricorn is in the 12th house. That's another reason why I'm doing this, projecting it like that. It's naturally resetting things. And I think we can all feel that there is a resetting going on, especially with the North Node in Aries, South Node in Libra. You can't negotiate your way out of this stuff anymore, right? You can't, there's not enough wisdom in the 9th house in Libra. There's no individual relationship that you've had that's going to be able to get you out of this. You're going to have to take action. You're going to have a very direct mind, and you're going to have to make plans with Mars in Capricorn. And they can't be the plans that you've made before unless those work, right? With Saturn in Pisces, you may not be able to push. And you can't push your agenda. You can't push your plan. The plan either goes or it doesn't. All right. And with the moon in Taurus, you're going to know. You're going to feel whether those plans are moving or not, because with the moon as the ruler of Cancer, you're going to feel, home or family or whatever, whatever you're trying to take care of, or whatever kind of, emotional support you're trying to receive from other people is going to feel much more grounded, and possibly even getting something from people that are older than you and people that are wise. Or you might feel that emotional wisdom coming through you, kind of like I am now. Yesterday I was trying to push and it wasn't working, right? But today it is, because I'm much more in this energy. I slowed down and I wrote all this stuff down. I spent 4 hours trying to get this out yesterday and it didn't work. And I threw it all away. And I just ended up with these screenshots. I probably had twice as many. But I had to let it go because that plan didn't work. My old plan didn't work. So I had to sit down, slow down, write all this stuff down, and get serious about it. And there is a seriousness with the moon in Taurus, and and as it's going to come in. So we do have to allow ourselves the space and the time to get to those places that we need to get to. And until that comes, right now with the moon in Aries, and through the 18th, we're getting it done, and we're getting it done in a new way. So continue making those new plans, and you will feel better. You will feel more. You will feel more emotionally safe. You will feel like you do have what it takes, right? Because that Capricorn Cancer energy being opposite there, right? If you feel that you are solid, you feel safe and you feel like you can get it done. And that's exactly what the moon in Aries is. It's get it done. So hopefully you guys will, I'll put out the next video in the next day or so that you can have a couple of days to digest the giant shift that we're about to have here with the Sun and Pluto moving into Aquarius. And I know you guys have heard a lot of other astrologers talk about all kinds of stuff like that. And I just need to do it in a different way, because we all need to look at things in a new way, and I'm trying to get there with you. So I appreciate that. Appreciate you taking the time to listen to me. If you guys have other chart readings, or if you want me to do personal charts, I am still doing those. I do stuff for family and friends all the time. But if you want me to do an in-depth, I have done live things on video chat with clients before. I can do that. Or if you want me to pre-record something, I can do that also. I'm working with another astrologer. We will probably be putting out podcasts, as well as there will definitely be much more in-depth, off the cuff kind of content coming with that also in the next number of months. But for now, I am here. This is North Node Astrology, and good luck out there and have fun.